It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back in studio. Original All-Star panelist, Crom Carmichael. Welcome, Crom.
Greetings, kind sir.
I have some very good news, Crom.
And what is that?
This will be the last time you are on the program when Joe Biden is president of the United States. Next Monday
At 11 o'clock.
we will be talking about the president will not be Joe Biden.
He'll be being sworn in at when you introduce me.
He will.
Is that correct? Doesn't he get sworn in at noon?
At noon.
Eastern time?
And then you'll be...
That's 11 o'clock Central time.
5 minutes later, you'll be
very,
on.
Very cool.
I
Very
mean,
cool.
We have 1 hour.
Yeah.
1 hour of our time on the radio together where we're stuck with Joe Biden. By the way, a couple of...
And the oligarchs.
And I've got a breaking
Joe
story.
Biden and the oligarchs.
Apparently now...
It sounds like a band.
Joe and the oligarchs. George Soros on bass.
Oh.
Boom.
Oh.
All right. Breaking story. Because of the cold temperature, because of the cold temperatures, the inauguration may take place inside the Capitol Rotunda.
Interesting.
I like that.
Okay.
Would you like to know why?
How cold is it supposed to be?
Low teens.
At noon?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, teens, low 20s.
Okay.
For security reasons, I like that.
Yes, I do too.
In fact, I would use that as an excuse to
Right.
hold it indoors.
Yeah, even if it were 60 degrees.
Yeah.
I'd say,
It's too
well,
cold.
Yeah, it's too cold.
By the way, Trump apparently is nominated the guy who's the head of his personal detail to be the head of his Secret Service.
Okay.
They trust that guy.
Okay.
And by the way, we also have some breaking news. TikTok goes o'clock. And the Supreme Court unanimously upheld the ban of TikTok because I haven't sold it. It's starting effective on Sunday. Mm-hmm. And it was a unanimous decision, 9-0.
Now, here's my question.
Well, before we get to your question.
Oh, okay.
Because you always have questions.
All right.
Before we get to that,
Okay.
I have some news. Ready?
All right. Okay.
Literally, this would be 37 minutes ago.
Okay.
We heard from Donald J. Trump.
TikTok.
TikTok.
37.
3702, 03, 04. TikTok, it's ticking. Donald Trump put this out on Truth Social. The Supreme Court decision was expected, as you told me, by the way, 3 minutes ago before we went on the air. You said he expected that decision.
Sure. He did, and I did too. I mean, because it was passed. I mean, it was
Let me
legislation.
finish what he
Yeah,
said.
please.
The Supreme Court decision was expected, and everyone must respect it. My decision on TikTok will be made in the not-too-distant future. But...
Wait, is this Trump? Are you quoting Trump? No, is this Trump?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I want to make sure I understood.
This is Trump.
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to get through the full thing that he just said.
Sorry.
The breaking news.
My bad.
So our listeners, Crom, can hear. Here's what. Okay, I'll go to the beginning. It's only 3 sentences.
Okay.
I want to get through all 3 of them.
All right.
The Supreme Court decision was expected, and everyone must respect it. My decision on TikTok will be made in the not-too-distant future, but I must have time to review the situation. Stay tuned.
Okay, now help me understand something. Okay, this is what I'm saying. You're quoting Trump. Okay,
Just
what
hot
Trump
off
just
the
said.
presses.
Okay, said it's to be expected. I get that. Okay.
Well, you actually.
But then he said.
You said you told me that.
Yeah, but I've said that all along. I said, well, this wasn't an executive order that Joe Biden put in that said it must be sold. This was a bill that was passed in the House, passed in the Senate, and signed by Biden,
and went into
which
effect,
makes it law.
And went into effect. It became law 268 days ago. And when it became law, ByteDance, which is owned by the Chinese communists, with like 17% from Jeff Yass, the billionaire from Philadelphia, who's pals with Trump. They gave him 270 days to sell it. They've done nothing to try and sell it.
Okay, so here's my question.
What is your question?
What authority does Trump have? I mean, doesn't it have to go dark? Because according to the law that was passed, that the Supreme Court upheld, if they didn't sell the business by the 19th of January, doesn't TikTok go dark?
That's a good question. What it really, the element is that you cannot download it from Apple or Google. Now, the little twist on this is that Joe Biden has said, okay, Sunday, 24 hours on Sunday, and then 12 hours on Monday. During that 36-hour period, he said, I will not enforce the law during that 36-hour period.
Okay.
However, Apple and Google have already indicated that because of liability risk, they will take down the app and you will not be able to download it.
Okay.
Now, that's just for additional new downloads, but in essence, there are other reverberations of that, which means it will, in essence, begin to go dark.
Well, but what I'm trying, I understand that. But did the law only relate to new downloads, or did it say
there are other elements to basically shut the whole thing down?
Shut the whole thing down.
Right.
And so the point I'm trying to make is Trump says we all must respect the law, and we all must respect the Supreme Court's decision. So that means that essentially Biden says, well, I'm not going to enforce the law. Well, you don't actually when he took the oath of office. He took the oath of office to enforce laws. He said
Are you
that.
suggesting, Crom? I'm shocked. Are you suggesting that Joe Biden is not fulfilling his oath of office in the last 2 days?
But he doesn't do that regularly. The question is whether or not. But the question is whether or not Trump thinks he has the authority as president to likewise not enforce a law that has actually been upheld by the Supreme Court
Unanimously.
Unanimously. Yeah.
Okay, so let's take that for a moment.
Thank you.
And let's take something else you told me during the break.
Okay.
About Trump's approach to this whole TikTok thing.
Okay.
Which is, what is he great at?
Well, he's a deal maker.
Oh.
He's a negotiator, and he will say things.
Positioning.
Positioning. And there are
Leverage.
things. Yeah, there are things. For example, the Wall Street Journal. When they criticize Trump, they criticize what he says, not what he does. And what he says is less important from a true policy standpoint than what he does. A lot of times Trump says things in order to affect policy, to cause other people to change. But the threats that he makes, the Wall Street Journal assumes that not only does he make the threat, but it has happened.
They think he's a pure policy guy, and they forget he's a deal maker.
That's right.
Right? Now, okay, so let's go to that. What are his options? The idea has been floated out, and I think you and I would agree with this. I think you and I are probably on the same page on this. The idea has been floated out. He might issue an executive order to extend the period of time, the deadline 90 days. He does not have that authority.
Right.
Yeah. The law is the law.
Right.
So, but what does he have the authority to do? He does indeed have the authority to instruct the Department of Justice on how to enforce the law.
He does?
Yeah.
By ignoring it? One of his instructions might be ignore it?
Well, no, I didn't say that.
No, but
hold on, Crom. So I'm not saying that one of his instructions might be ignore it. Let's take Donald Trump at his word. Let's go back to what he said.
Okay.
Not what others have speculated about what he said. My decision on TikTok will be made in the not too distant future, but I must have time to review the situation. Okay. So what that tells me is he is going to respect the law, and he's going to figure out how to bring everybody together to get it sold to an American party.
And that has to be the goal, and in relatively short order, because TikTok has ignored the law.
There's the point.
For 270 days, they ignored the law.
They have ignored the law, and they can't, and they were gaming it, and they lost their bet. TikTok. Time's up. Back with more after this.
Hi folks, John Fredericks here for Freedom Alliance. Veterans are still struggling with the wounds of war. They came home with injuries that changed them forever. The flag-burning troublemakers in our streets remind me how fortunate we are to have patriots who served and fought, sacrificed, and never complained. We need to support them through organizations like the Freedom Alliance. It's Military Appreciation Month and time to support those who serve. Freedom Alliance is caring for combat veterans and military families. Combat veterans fought in the worst, most dangerous places on earth. Freedom Alliance takes them to nature's most relaxing locations so they can heal. Freedom Alliance gives injured troops mortgage-free homes, new cars, and all-terrain wheelchairs. For wounded vets, there's nothing like the stability of your own home, the reinsurance of a reliable vehicle, or the independence of a wheelchair that navigates snow, ice, beach, pasture, or most any terrain. Let's fight for those who fought for us. Go to freedomalliance.org/Godzilla and make a monthly gift that will improve the life of a military hero. That's freedomalliance.org/Godzilla. Make a contribution today.
If you're like me, most moms find it difficult to prioritize self-care. Hi, it's Colleen, Program Director at the John Fredericks Media Network. With the demands of programming 13 radio stations, it's easy to forget about the things I should do for myself daily. And that's why I started with our company's Women's Challenge with Native Path Collagen Peptides. It's affordable and convenient care in just one scoop a day. There are so many incredible health benefits like bone and joint support, metabolism booster, and hair, skin, and nail improvement. I like to take a moment each day to prioritize myself and indulge in the health-boosting benefits of Native Path Collagen Peptides. I love mixing it up with all the different smoothie recipes, too. Learn more about Native Path Collagen Peptides and read 7 important reasons why you should be taking collagen peptides at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Prioritize your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today and get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
Target.com. Target.com is an online e-commerce tire retailer. We are here to serve the American public with the best possible customer service, the best pricing, and we make it extremely easy. We have many name brands and a lot of low-cost tires. The price is right, and it's easy. You go online to Target.com, Tireget.com, Target.com. You go there, you put your zip code in, all the inventory displays right in front of you. You can call in for help if you want to. We'll help you get the tire that you need. But we will take the tires you buy and at no extra charge deliver them to the dealer right by your house where they will be installed at the market price. It's easy. The best price, the best service. Great people to deal with. Thank you for going to Target.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Crom Carmichael, original All-Star panelist here in studio. Crom, you know, I've told you many times that we're pretty sure that Donald Trump listens to this program every day. We're pretty sure.
I know you said that.
And as further evidence of that,
Oh, my God.
literally after our first segment, the president issued this statement. Ready?
Okay.
President Donald J. Trump announces inaugural ceremony moved indoors.
Ah,
See?
okay.
I told you he was
There you go.
listening.
Yeah.
January 20th cannot come fast enough. Everybody, even those that initially opposed a victory by President Donald J. Trump and the Trump administration, just want it to happen. So Trumpian. It is my obligation to protect the people of our country, but before we even begin, we have to think of the inauguration itself. The weather forecast for Washington, D.C., with the wind chill factor, there's the reasoning,
Yeah.
stated reasoning, could take temperatures into several severe record lows. There is an Arctic blast sweeping the country. I don't want to see people hurt or injured in any way. It is dangerous conditions for the tens of thousands of law enforcement, first responders, police K-9ers, and even horses, and hundreds of thousands of supporters that will be outside for many hours on the 20th. In any event, if you decide to come, dress warmly, right? Therefore, I have ordered the inauguration address, in addition to prayers and other speeches, to be delivered in the United States Capitol Rotunda, as was used by Ronald Reagan in 1985. Also because of very cold weather. I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
Well, I must have known of it in 85, but I had forgotten about it. Excellent use of precedent.
Yes.
Right? This will be a very beautiful experience for all.
Well, and who better to emulate than Ronald Reagan?
And especially for the large TV audience. Again, the salesman. The guy, he's selling nonstop. He's selling America first to his supporters, to his former opponents, and to the world. He continues, we will open Capital One Arena on Monday for live viewing of this historic event and to host the presidential parade. I will join the crowd at Capital One after my swearing in. All other events will remain the same, including the victory rally at Capital One Arena on Sunday at 3 p.m. Doors open at 1 p.m. Please arrive early, and all 3 inaugural balls on Monday evening. Everyone will be safe. Everyone will be happy. And we will together make America great again.
That's very nice. Very nice press release. Question. When he does this, how many people? So it will be a pretty select group of people in the rotunda itself.
Well, you've been in the rotunda.
I'm not sure I have.
I have. It's a robust area. You could probably fit 500 people there.
Okay. All right. So the people who are there are that's a selected group.
Yeah.
Okay. The officials, a selected group. And so then once he is sworn in, it sounds like he will not be giving his inaugural speech from the rotunda.
Yes, he will. He just said he will.
Oh, I thought he said he was then going to join the crowd at Capital One Arena.
He said after the events in Capital One. It's right here. I just read it.
Okay.
Yeah. He said he'll give his inaugural address there.
Okay, excuse me. I missed that part. Because I thought he was going to be then giving his so I guess he's going to give another speech at Capital One. He's not going to just go glad.
Well, he's going to go, like on Sunday, he's got a victory rally at the Capital One Arena.
Okay.
Then at noon, you'll be here.
Yeah.
We're going to do we'll bring it up and do it live, right?
All right.
And we can provide commentary.
Okay.
He will, by the time you're here at 11:05 Central Time, and the time we're on the air for our first segment of that hour, he will probably have been sworn in.
Wow. Okay.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Isn't that great?
Yeah. And he's sworn in, and immediately upon him saying whatever that last words is in the oath, Biden is no longer president. That's that. I mean,
as soon as he's sworn, yeah. He says,
I'm
so help me
saying
God.
So help me God.
Boom.
Bam. Biden is no longer president.
God has helped us.
Yeah.
No. Let me just stop for a moment and let's talk about this. Let's talk about the hand of God here.
Okay.
The hand of God guided Donald J. Trump to turn his head at the last minute.
Yeah. Just
it was
just
providential.
Enough. Just enough. I agree.
In Butler.
I agree.
That's why when I say this is going to be a golden age, it's going to be a golden age.
Well, it's going to be really interesting.
It's providential.
John Thune was on one of the Sunday programs and said that with Trump in office, we're going to be able to slow the rate of the growth of government. That doesn't sound very Trumpian.
Slow the rate of growth.
Slow the rate of growth
from 25% to 23%.
Well, no. I mean, he might. I mean, what's been happening is as Scott. How do you pronounce his last name?
Bessent.
Okay, as Scott Bessent said,
my good buddy Scott Bessent, who, as you know, now that we're telling everybody the truth of how this all happened, Scott Bessent's first non-Steve Bannon interview, as he was moving towards being the nominee, was with us.
Wow,
you knew that, right?
That I did. No, and I wasn't. I was not here. So that's very cool.
I have to share all this stuff.
Okay.
Because Trump listens all the time.
Sure, yeah, all the time.
I can tell you, Trump was listening as I did the interview with Bessent, and he thought to himself, that guy needs to be the Secretary of Treasury.
Yeah. Well, Bessent pointed out that that tax revenue as a percentage of GDP has always remained between 17 and 18%, regardless of tax policy. It just you change it. Increasing tax rates does not mean that the share of the GDP that's going to grow.
That's a very Crom-like analysis.
Well, but I mean, and that's the point he made.
Yeah.
Made through all the ups and downs of tax rates, 17 to 18% is the number.
Yeah.
And he said, and historically, at least in the last 30 to 40 years, historically we have spent 19 to 20%. And he said, and that is acceptable because of the increases in productivity. He said, but recently, in the last 5 years, we've gone from 19 to 20% to 24 to 25%. He says that's unsustainable. And so when John Thune says, what Bessent is pushing for is a return to 19 to 20%, and that's not going to be easy. That's not going to be easy to achieve. And
not when you got a guy like John Thune as a majority leader.
Well,
but he did go to Harvard Business School.
Well, if that doesn't give me any confidence. But Trump, the president, when the president holds a tremendous amount, anybody who's president holds a tremendous amount of power.
Yeah.
With the veto pen. Mm-hmm. But in Trump's case, he's the first president in my lifetime. Reagan was the closest second, but the MAGA crowd is enough to defeat a Republican who opposes Trump in the next election. And so House members cannot be independent of the MAGA movement. And so 3 Republicans in the House or 4 Republicans in the House are not going to gather together along with Democrats and oppose Trump's spending cut agenda. Mm-hmm. And that's what's going to be interesting. I think there's going to be substantial spending cuts in the first bill that passes, which will be in the next 60 to 90 days, followed by additional spending cuts in the next fiscal year budget. But for the rest, that's my prediction.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Look, we were let's hit this last bit you're going to talk about right now.
Yeah, and this is on the other side of the pond.
We're going to the other side of the pond.
Yeah, we're going over to Great Britain. And what happened there was the so-called conservatives in Great Britain were thrown out of office because they governed as if there was nothing they could possibly do to fix all the problems that were in Great Britain, and the public just finally got tired of them, and so they voted for another party saying since we know you can't fix it, we're going to give these other guys a try.
And they're even worse.
So now the backup quarterback's in, and he's throwing interceptions. So it's going to be interesting.
No,
but
he's not just throwing interceptions. He's giving the ball to the other team.
Fair enough. He's throwing pick sixes. How's that?
Yeah.
And but what he's doing is, and this is part of the problem that the special interest groups, the Islamists in the Muslim population in Great Britain makes up 6% of their population.
Right.
They vote almost 100% with the Labour Party. But the Islamists in Great Britain are also a group of there are gangs of them that are sexually grooming and then assaulting young girls from working class neighborhoods.
And have been doing it for over a decade.
Yes. And it's getting worse.
Yeah,
it's getting worse. And so what the Wall Street Journal points out is, and I'm going to quote here: the UK's 4 million Muslims make up 6% of the country's population. A 2020 study, and as you say, it's gotten a lot worse since then. A 2020 study found that 83% of those prosecuted for localized group-based child sexual exploitation between 1997 and 2017 had Muslim names.
Sure.
And the problem is that Muhammad himself said this was okay. And that is the problem, is that if you are a pure Islamist,
right,
then Muhammad is telling you it's okay because
the bottom line
because they're not Muslims.
The bottom line on all this is the Labour Party in the United Kingdom is destroying the United Kingdom.
Yes.
And they need to go.
Well, and there's no Trump party yet.
Nigel Farage.
Yes, and
we'll see.
We'll see.
When we come back, we have some Tennessee news. Another big legal victory for our outstanding Attorney General, Jonathan Scrimetti. I'll go through all that, and it's a big win. So back
Looking
after
forward
this.
to it.
Company takes this special time to salute the Franklin men and women in uniform who've answered the call for our freedom. Let's give them the hero's welcome they deserve as they fought hard to restore peace around the world. American troops are our angels of protection, so stand up and salute them proudly. This message is courtesy of our good friends at Nashville Pizza Company, 2176 Hillsborough Road in Franklin. They're always working to keep our community moving in a positive direction. I want to say a few words about our friends at the Nashville Pizza Company, 2176 Hillsborough Road. The Nashville Pizza Company in Franklin reminds us that the current economic times have been tough on many families in our area, and many are finding it hard to make ends meet. Your donations of clothing or canned goods can make a difference for a family in need. During this holiday season, give from the heart so others can have a new start. That's courtesy of our friends at Nashville Pizza Company, 2176 Hillsborough Road in Franklin. They are always working to keep our community moving in a positive direction.
My fellow Americans, my good friends, I've known them for a long time, at D.T. McCall & Sons have the deal of a lifetime for you, and nobody knows deals like I do. That much I can tell you. Nobody knows deals like I do. The lumber yards, they can hit you with hidden charges for up to $200 extra. They'll charge you for cords and hoses and haul-offs. Your money goes all over the place and out of the state, and most importantly, out of your pockets. How do they get away with that? I don't know how they do that, but on day one, if you buy from McCall's, we are going to stop the hidden charges as soon as you buy it. D.T. McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. Head to one of their stores today or check them out at dtmccalls.com. You're going to love it, believe me.
Hey there,
Impersonator
McGill,
not endorsed
founder
by Donald
and
Trump.
CEO of the Glock Store. As a proud sponsor of this show, you may have heard Michael Patrick Leahy mention us a few times over the past 4 years. But today, it's me on the radio telling you how pleased we are to be associated with Michael Patrick Leahy and his dedication to the highest levels of professional journalism. Michael Patrick Leahy has been threatened with jail time in bringing the true facts about that Nashville Covenant shooting to his listening audience. Michael Patrick Leahy, you keep doing what you're doing, and we here at the Glock Store will keep sponsoring your show for the good of Nashville and the entire country. And I'm personally inviting all of your listeners to come visit and shoot at the Glock Store. It's where Michael Patrick Leahy learned to shoot a gun for the first time and where he bought his own personal Glock 19. I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of the Glock Store here in Nashville, just minutes from the airports, worth the drive from anywhere, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy and the Tennessee Star Report.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. In studio, the original All-Star panelist, Carmichael. Crom, I think you and I agree that Jonathan Skrmetti is the best state attorney general in the entire United States.
Bingo.
Bingo.
Yes.
He's been on this program many a time, but he's really, really terrific. Another win. I don't know how many legal wins the guy's had. He's had well over, I think he's like at 24 big victories in the time that he's been as attorney general. Headline, Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti of Tennessee announces landmark settlement with BlackRock, Inc. regarding ESG practices. BlackRock, the biggest hedge fund out there. And, Larry Fink is the guy that runs it. Mm-hmm. And he's been a big fan of ESG, environmental, social, and governance factors, which, basically he uses to blackmail corporations to do, ridiculous things that are politically aligned with him.
And why does he do that?
Because he can and because he's aligned in that way. But let me continue with the story here. Yes. Tennessee Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti announced today from Nashville a landmark settlement with BlackRock, Inc., resolving allegations that the global investment firm misled consumers regarding the role of environmental, social, and governance factors in its investment practices. The settlement concludes a lawsuit filed by the state of Tennessee under the Tennessee Consumer Protection Act.
Okay.
And you know where he filed this lawsuit?
Where?
Williamson County.
Okay.
Now, let me continue with the story. Tennessee's suit alleges that BlackRock failed to adequately disclose its integration of ESG, environmental, social, and governance factors and considerations into its decision-making with respect to asset management. In other words, they blackmailed corporations to do certain policies.
Okay.
The suit further alleges that BlackRock overstated the financial benefits of ESG-related strategies. In fact, if you look at the evidence, ESG strategies hurt companies.
Okay.
These practices, according to the press release, allegedly misled investors and consumers regarding BlackRock's investment objectives and alignments with climate-focused initiatives and other policy-oriented goals. Now, here is what Attorney General Schimetti said. Quote, "This resolution assures that the money Tennesseans invest with BlackRock is managed consistent with the fund's disclosures. While investors are always free to buy cause-oriented products, instead of focusing on maximum return, this settlement ensures that only investors who make a knowing choice will see their assets directed toward these non-financial goals," right?
Okay.
So here are the key terms. Number one, enforce transparency. BlackRock will increase its disclosure of proxy voting practices, ensuring investors have greater insights into decision-making categories, rationales. Number two, compliance and oversight. BlackRock will implement compliance measures, including audits by a third-party service to monitor adherence to the agreement's terms. Number three, investor communications. BlackRock commits to ensuring that its communications with investors are consistent with well-established laws governing disclosure and fiduciary duty. And number four, commitment to financial interests. For funds that do not have investment objectives beyond financial performance, BlackRock commits to casting shareholder votes solely to further the financial interests of investors.
Okay, now the last part is the most important part of everything you said to me.
Tell me why.
That I don't quite understand it. Read that the very last thing that you said about their proxy voting.
With the proxy voting?
Yes, the very last. There was that very last phrase.
Well, let's see. Now, this was for funds that do not have the last phase, commitment to financial interests. Yeah. For funds that do not have investment objectives beyond financial performance, BlackRock commits to casting shareholder votes solely to further the financial interests of investors.
Yeah.
In other words, what they're saying is all this ESG stuff,
right?
It does not enhance the shareholder value.
Well, that
and you got to disclose that.
Well, so here's what I think I just heard you say, and that is that the settlement includes a number of different things. But here's what I think I heard you say, and that is if BlackRock says that for $4 trillion of our portfolio, we are going to use our stockholder positions to force companies to do ESG.
Yes.
And they can still do that as long as they disclose it.
They disclose it.
Yes, but if they say for this portion, we're not going to use our power to do it, then they can't. And that was that last phrase.
Correct.
So I think that this is clearly a win. The question will see. I think that as I have maintained, Warren Buffett has regularly said he should pay more taxes, but we know it's disingenuous because if he did think he should pay more taxes, he would just.
Well, this isn't Warren Buffett. But the point on this is Warren Buffett has nothing to do with this. This is basically a lawsuit filed against BlackRock. And BlackRock was engaged in practices that led investors to believe that they were doing. Let me finish. That led investors to believe that their ESG promotion policies were leading to higher financial gain, and that wasn't the case at all.
Okay, I'm trying to compare a very, very wealthy billionaire and his disingenuous statements being disingenuous because If somebody says I should pay more taxes, simple thing.
I know,
do.
but that's
May I finish? May I finish?
That's not what this is about.
I know.
That's
Michael,
not what this is
I'm
about.
about to get to my point. If you'll let me get to my point, okay? Buffett does it for protection.
Mm-hmm.
He says he should pay more taxes so that the Democrats look on him as a friend. BlackRock did this ESG stuff for political protection, which is the greatest risk we have, is the use of the government, the federal government, to force or to essentially threaten organizations like BlackRock. Fink knows that he's running a $10 trillion fund. He knows that the SEC and the federal regulators could make his life miserable. So under the Biden administration, what he has done is he has kowtowed to the Biden administration's desires to see ESG pushed. And in so doing, he's been dishonest. And that is what Skermetti is correcting. But I'm trying to get to the point that this is what is so insidious, is when the federal government inserts itself.
See, I don't think that's the case at all.
Okay.
I think that Larry Fink does this because that's what he wants. That's his left-wing ideology. Crom, I have some breaking news for you.
You have more?
No.
Okay, more breaking news.
Crom,
Okay.
when I read this to you,
Okay.
you're going to say, I told everybody so.
Okay.
Are you ready?
All right.
Headline. This is from Hollywood Reporter. Headline. You ready? CNN loses defamation trial over Afghan evacuation report.
Woo-hoo-hoo. I told everybody so. I knew my job there, Michael.
You did.
Yeah, but I mean,
Here, this is breaking. This is why people need to listen to this program, because we get the breaking stories and we give you the immediate details and the analysis. So this is from Hollywood Reporter. Breaking. Zachary Young, you talked about him, alleged CNN defamed him in a report by Chief Security Correspondent Alex Marquardt that said he operated in a black market. CNN defamed a U.S. Navy veteran in a 2021 report portraying him as illegally exploiting Afghans by charging exorbitant fees to be evacuated in the aftermath of the U.S. military withdrawal from the country, a jury has found. A Florida jury on Friday, this is like just 10 minutes ago, awarded Zachary Young, a security consultant who said the story destroyed his business and reputation, $5 million after a 9-day defamation trial. The Washington Post reporter Jeremy Barr, who was on site for the trial, reported the damages verdict doesn't account for punitive damages intended to punish particularly malicious conduct, which will push the total higher. You see, Crom, the way this works on damages, there are two steps to it.
Mm-hmm.
The first step, I learned this in my torts class at law school, at the Nashville School of Law. The first step is, were there damages? Yes. And the second step is, if there were damages, how much should the punitive damages be? Huh? How about that?
Does it say? Or is that,
No, I think basically it's a two-step process.
Okay.
The verdict, according to Hollywood Reporter, could signal the public's perception of CNN, which didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. Ooh.
So may I ask a question about the second part, the punitive damages? Are punitive damages when the jury, I'm assuming it's the jury, determines the punitive damages? Is it how much they think it will take to cause CNN to stop saying false things and malicious things about people when they report? Or is it to reward Zachary Young, or is it a combination of the two?
Well, it's a very good question. Damages, the first part typically is for the actual damages.
Right.
But the punitive damages are, as I say, in fact, punitive so that the offending party will not, they need to be so high.
Right.
As to make that offending party to no longer engage in that bad conduct.
Yes, okay. That's what I was trying to get at. And so for an organization as big as CNN, that number will likely be you have an over-under. Now that we know that the verdict is in, do we have and can they still settle? Do you know whether or not they can still settle?
You know the deal on this, Crom. This is just in the trial court.
Right.
So the next step would go to appeals, and then so there's years of appeals here.
Well, I understand,
in
but
theory.
the punitive damages will be assessed at the trial level, I think, by this jury.
This jury, having made this first decision,
Yes.
now is going to deliberate on the punitive damages element of it.
Okay.
We may have that announcement. I think the amount they were asking for was like $700 million. Wasn't
No, it was north of $1 billion.
North
Because
of
it
$1 billion,
was a
that's right.
It was north of $1 billion because the question was asked of the jury: Would you award, if the evidence supported it, would you award a 10-figure, which is $1 billion? Would you award a 10-figure settlement for punitive damages? And that was the question that was asked over and over again. And I guess I had two questions. One is, can CNN and Zachary Young now try to settle what the punitive damage is, or is it now completely in the hands of the jury?
Well, what will happen is the jury will deliberate the amount of punitive damages.
Right.
They will come up with a number, and they will announce that number.
Right.
Then CNN is going to have to decide what they do.
Right.
In other words, they can appeal or they can settle. Now, CNN, if you're listening, because I know they listen
Yes,
as well,
along with Trump.
my advice is go very humbly to Mr. Young and settle, because it's not going to get better for you. It's going to get worse.
I'd be very interested to see the number that the jury awards.
I think it'll be like $500 million.
I think it'll
Or
be
more.
higher than that.
Ooh,
Yeah.
over under?
I think it'll be higher than $500 million.
We'll be back with more News Potpourri after this.
Tom Carmichael, CEO of Soul Tea, a supplement to help you have a healthier heart and stronger cardiovascular system. At Soul Tea, we regularly get emails from our customers telling us how Soul Tea has helped them. Like this one from Kelly. Hello, I'm 58 years old and have had high cholesterol for years. I wanted to stay away from prescription drugs. My husband and I have been using Soul Tea for about 13 months. My results have been amazing. My cholesterol levels went from 291 to 129. I am so impressed with Soul Tea and want to thank you. Now, in my own case, my bad cholesterol dropped from 130 to 89, and that was 20 years ago. I'm 75 years old and I take 0 prescription drugs. To get a great deal on Soul Tea, please go to GodzillaHeart.com, and when you check out, use the code Godzilla to get our best deal, which is 50% off your first shipment and then 3 bottles for the price of 2 thereafter. You don't have to live with a broken heart.
Do you suffer from
Try
declining
Soul Tea
bone and
today.
joint health? Hi, it's Tina with the John Fredericks Media Network. And when I heard about our company's Women's Challenge, I jumped on the opportunity to test this amazing supplement that's already restoring my bone density, soothing my joint pain, and helping me regain lost mobility. I've experienced so many benefits in such a short time with Native Path Collagen Peptides because they support my bones and joints, boost my metabolism, and unleash the most radiant skin and hair since my 20s. In just 2 weeks, my knee stiffness is gone, and I'm already hitting the gym more aggressively. And I get so many compliments on my glowy skin and shiny hair. Native Path Collagen Peptides are so easy to take. They're tasteless, odorless, and mix great with my morning coffee. Read thousands of 5-star reviews at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Level up your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today. And get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cells Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's HealthyCell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. Crom Carmichael in studio on the Newsmaker line right now. The greatest state attorney general in the United States, Jonathan Skrmetti. Another victory, General Skrmetti. Congratulations. Tell us about it.
Thank you. Yeah, so this one is BlackRock. We had sued them over not disclosing that they were using the $11 trillion in assets under management that they control to advance causes that were more focused on environmental and social outcomes than on making money for their investors. And so we settled that case today. The settlement means a lot of oversight. It means auditing. It means they have to disclose. It means they are not allowed to prioritize anything over return on investment unless their customer allows them to do it and authorizes it. So this is going to stop a lot of the ESG shenanigans that we've seen since BlackRock was the main culprit for that.
This is a pretty quick resolution to the lawsuit that you filed. I think you filed it in Williamson County Chancery Court, didn't you? Where did you file this case?
We did. Williamson County Chancery Court. We filed it last December 2023. So it's taken a little bit of time to work out the details here, but we're really happy with the resolution. I mean, the oversight means we're really not going to see the problems that we saw before. This is a hard pivot for BlackRock. It basically means ESG is dead at the biggest asset manager in the world, and I'm really proud of the work that my team did on this case.
That is a huge accomplishment, General Skrmetti, a huge accomplishment, and you did it through the use of the Tennessee courts and the Tennessee Consumer Protection Act.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, state law is great, state courts are great, and this was a situation where everything went off the rails really quickly, and people sort of intuitively knew something was wrong. We were the first ones to sue BlackRock. There have been other states that sued them since. I sincerely hope that this really does solve the problem. They'll set an example for other asset managers and other financial companies. And the fact that they were willing to make such significant changes and expose themselves to such significant oversight by the state, there will be auditing going on for years, should send a signal to everybody that this is not okay and that companies that are trusted with investors' money need to invest it in ways that maximize return. And if, it's America, if somebody wants to invest in an environmental fund that makes less money but advances their causes, they're allowed to do that. But you have to be able to knowingly choose it. It shouldn't be, secretly done with your money when you're not paying attention.
Did you personally lead the negotiations on this settlement, and did you deal directly with Larry Fink, the CEO, or did you deal with others?
No, there were intermediaries involved here. I was involved some in the negotiations, but I've got a great team. Brandon Smith, my chief of staff, did a lot of work on this one.
Oh.
We had some other folks working hard on it too.
Terrific. Crom Carmichael has a question for you, General Skrmetti.
General, my question is, does the way the settlement, and I think I know the answer, but if I'm an investor in a BlackRock fund and they have many funds, does BlackRock have to have me sign something where they know that I am explicitly allowing them to invest my money for social causes that may not generate the highest return? In other words, or can they just bury the language in the fine print?
No, it has to be clearly articulated. So they can't do anything. They can't do environmental investing. They can't do social investing. They have to do investment investing unless the consumer specifies that they want to buy a product that very explicitly does something different.
Do you anticipate that the other states now will have similar settlements, or basically is everybody going to follow the settlement that the state of Tennessee has made with BlackRock?
I don't know exactly how it's going to play out. The suit that was brought by, I think it was 11 other states a couple months ago, was an antitrust suit. And so they're looking at slightly different issues. I think on the consumer and disclosure side, this really does set the mark. I mean, this is best practices going forward, and I suspect other people will try to lock in similar terms. and it seems like that won't be a problem. I mean, BlackRock is not going to have radically different exposure in different places, and the law is what the law is. Now, they didn't, this is one of those settlements where, like in every settlement, nobody owns up to doing something unlawful. But I think the fact that they're willing to make such significant changes to their behavior and be so transparent about it going forward it is a really strong indicator of the direction the company's moving. We have pushed them to do what we wanted them to do all along, and now consumers are going to be safe.
Will the compliance and oversight elements of this settlement be overseen by your office, or will there be another office in the state of Tennessee that does that?
We'll be involved in it, and then there's an outside auditor that's involved in it. I should note, too, that this was a dismissal without prejudice, so if there's any noncompliance here, we can be right back in court. So we have a hammer, but, based on their agreement to the terms, I think the company is sincerely, willing to move in the direction that we wanted them to move, and willing to make sure that they're not taking advantage of investors to further goals other than making money for those investors.
Crom has one last question for you, General Scammetti.
General, how much pressure do you think BlackRock was getting from the federal government to do this ESG form of investing and use their clout to force private companies?
I think there was a lot of pressure coming from the federal government. I also think there was a lot of pressure on the federal government to be putting this pressure on the asset managers and other big financial institutions. The regulations that the federal government was trying to use were illegal. We've been in some fights about that, and obviously with the inauguration coming up Monday, I think there will be a much different perspective, and that may have something to do with the resolution of this case. But regardless, we've been railing about these ESG problems for years, and this is a huge step towards making sure that we never have to talk about it again.
Well, congratulations to you, General Scammetti, for another great legal victory for the state of Tennessee. And thank you so much for joining us so quickly, within an hour of the announcement of the settlement. Thanks for joining us, General Scammetti.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
All right. There you go. Crom?
That was interesting. Very, very interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah, and a big win.
Yeah.
Huge win.
Not a little win.
No, that's a big win.
Big win for Tennessee. And you heard it first right here.
The nation.
Yeah.
Because as he said, this is
good point.
It'd be a national thing.
Crom, we had a very
fun
busy day.
Busy day.
All right. When we come back, it'll be Inauguration Day. Yay!
Ooh.
I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. Have a great day. Great weekend.
Governor Bill Lee, and I want to talk to you about an important education bill in Tennessee. Everyone knows that education has the power to change the trajectory of a child's life forever. And anyone who's raised a child knows that each one's different in their educational needs, and their learning styles, and their talents. The fact is, parents know their own children best. They know what's best for their education and their future. That's why I'm here to talk to you about Tennessee's Education Freedom Act. It empowers parents across our state to use their tax dollars to choose the school that allows their child to thrive, regardless of zip code or income, all while making significant investments in Tennessee's public education. If you want to learn how you can help make the Education Freedom Act a reality in Tennessee, go to educationfreedomact.com and write or call your state representatives. It's educationfreedomact.com.
This ad is
The
paid
Chief
for
Team
by Job
reminds
Creators
listeners
Network.
here that more and more veterans will be returning home over the next few years, and many are local. These heroes have elite military training and valuable professional skills, but they also need jobs too. That's why the Chief Team is encouraging all local businesses. Let's make it the year we hire smart and hire veterans. That's from the Chief Team, where they say service isn't just a courtesy, it's a commitment. For more information, call 931-444-3572. That's 931-444-3572 for the Chief Team in Clarksville.
The Black preaching tradition is deeply connected to gospel music.
PBS presents a new series hosted by Henry Louis Gates Jr., Gospel.
Our singers preach and our preachers sing.
Gospel is a prayer.
It is our heart's cry to God in lyrics and song.
You feel it deep down in your soul.
Gospel. Streaming now on the PBS app.